Anything else you want to say to your fans, man?
Man, shout out to Dante's Boxing Nation. You know, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, Earl Spence Jr., my whole name, and just look out for me.
Yes, sir. Let me dig into your brain. Folks falling like rain.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So Gennady Golovkin, boy, oh boy. Gennady Golovkin, he just recently said that nobody wants to fight him. In other words, he's the boogeyman of the division. He's the Terrence Crawford. He's the Errol Spence. People are going out of their way to avoid Triple G. Let Gennady Golovkin tell it. Let me ask you guys this. When is the last time an Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford gave up one of their belts to avoid a tough mandatory, just to cherry pick a soft touch like a Vanis Monterosian? Well, the answer to my question would be never. You have never seen Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence do what Golovkin is doing today. The only time it makes sense for a champion to give up one of his belts is if that organization is forcing him to fight some tomato can, but the champion would rather fight the toughest opponent available at that time. Let's take Anthony Joshua, for example, since he has multiple belts. Now imagine if he had a mandatory, right? Let's say his mandatory was Pulev, and the Deontay Wilder fight is on the table, meaning he can take that fight next. But if he doesn't fight his mandatory next, he has to give up his belt just to get the Deontay Wilder fight. That would make more sense in a situation like that, to give up your belt. So Golovkin was recently asked, would he be willing to fight Caleb Smith at 168? And see, once again, guys, this is further proof that fans and media as well, they are trying their best to protect Gennady Golovkin from possibly losing to a black fighter. That's what this comes down to at the end of the day. Because that makes no sense. If you know that the champion at the middleweight division is Demetrius Andrade, why would you be asking Golovkin, is he willing to fight Caleb Smith? I can guarantee you, if I did a poll right now, the majority of fans will say they want to see Golovkin fight a Caleb Smith rather than a Demetrius Andrade, a Jamal Charlo, or someone like that. Because these fans, of course, they're not going to admit it. Of course, they're going to talk crazy in the comment section, but they all know deep down, they feel as long as Golovkin doesn't lose to a black guy, I'm okay with it. If he loses to Caleb Smith, it's win-win, because we have a new Golovkin to root for if Caleb Smith wins the fight. This is how the majority of Golovkin fans look at things. Deep down, they feel that Golovkin, he most likely won't beat a fighter like Demetrius Andrade, Jamal Charlo, even a rematch with Danny Jacobs. And even if Golovkin has a chance of beating him, the threat of him losing once again to a fighter on a coincidental list makes it not worth a fan even wanting to watch the fight. So once again, nobody asked Gennady Golovkin, why won't he fight the champion Demetrius Andrade while he waits for the Canelo fight? You say nobody will fight you, but you have an undefeated champion who has a belt, and it would be a big payday. It would be a way bigger payday than you fighting against Steve Rose. Why won't you fight Demetrius Andrade? Nobody would ask him that question, but they'll ask him once again, will he fight Caleb Smith at 168? They would rather Golovkin go up to a higher weight class and possibly lose up there than lose to somebody at 160 on the coincidental list. So when they asked Gennady Golovkin this question about Caleb Smith, this is what Golovkin had to say. Quote, if I have big fight at 160, of course I stay at 160. If I have big names at 168, I move up to 168. I want to fight, but nobody wants to fight me. Of course. I have 6-fight deal. It doesn't matter with who. Just tough guys. Show me who's tough. Come on, guys. I'm open for everybody. I'm open for everybody. Steve Rose is with me because he really wants to fight." End quote. So I guess when Gennady Golovkin said nobody wants to fight him, he must be talking about Brandon Adams, because that's the only person who decided not to fight him and fight Jamal Charlo instead. You know, I would really love to hear what Eddie Hearn has to say about this, because Eddie Hearn has already said that we're pushing Gennady Golovkin to fight Demetrius Andrade. But clearly Gennady Golovkin, he has his own agenda, and his agenda is to try to fight the easiest opponents available. Because recently he just confirmed what his trainer Abel Sanchez said a couple weeks ago, which is even if Canelo loses to Danny Jacobs, they still want to fight Canelo Alvarez. And even Eddie Hearn said, well, I know Golovkin said that, but we're going to push for Golovkin versus Danny Jacobs if Danny Jacobs beats Canelo. So this is just Golovkin's agenda. This is not DAZN's or Eddie Hearn. This is Gennady Golovkin trying his best to cherry pick. Now I see why Abel Sanchez does the majority of interviews on Golovkin's behalf. Because Golovkin, he just makes himself look worse the more he opens his mouth. Nobody will fight you, but yet you gave up your IBF belt to avoid Sergey Demeryevchenko just to fight Vanes Monteiro. The WBC ordered Gennady Golovkin to fight against Jamal Charlo. Gennady Golovkin turned it down. And people can't even use the excuse that Golovkin, he was trying to find out what network he was going to, who he was going to sign with, because while he was looking, he was trying to negotiate a deal to fight with Ryota Murata. And Rob Brandt, he ended up beating Murata, and that messed up Golovkin's plans to fight him. So he turned down Sergey Demeryevchenko, he turned down Jamal Charlo. He just recently said, even if Danny Jacobs beats Canelo, he doesn't want to fight Danny Jacobs next. And he turned down a title shot against Demetrius Andrade to fight against Steve Rose for less money. So once again, for the fans that try to defend Golovkin and say, hey man, Golovkin, he just wants to get the big payday. He's just fighting for money right now. If that were the case, why would he be taking a pay cut to fight against Steve Rose when he would have made 2 or 3 times the amount going up against Demetrius Andrade for a title? And that would have gave him leverage to make even more money if he would have beat Andrade and then fought the winner of Canelo versus Jacobs next. If this is all about money, it would make way more sense financially to fight Demetrius Andrade instead of fighting Steve Rose. What you guys mean when you say this is about money is Golovkin, he feels that if he gets in there with Demetrius Andrade, he may lose to Andrade, and that would possibly affect that Canelo check. Since we know that is the case, then that once again just proves how overrated Golovkin is. Listen, I'm gonna tell you guys this right now, and I ain't never said this about no boxer. Gennady Golovkin is the biggest joke in the sport of boxing. He is the most overrated fighter of this generation. Some would argue he is the most overrated fighter of all time. Because once again, you guys have to know what the definition of overrated means. Overrated simply means you are rated higher than what you are supposed to be rated. And there is no fighter today that has been rated higher by extremely biased fans and biased media members saying that Gennady Golovkin is top 25, one of the greatest in the last 25 years. He's number 2, the greatest middleweight in the last 25 years. At least this is what ESPN Dan Rafael said. Gennady Golovkin can thank people like Dan Rafael and ESPN because they are the ones that made Gennady Golovkin the most overrated fighter of this era. Guys, can you imagine if fighters on the coincidental list like Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather, Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, Tank Davis, if they were making moves like Gennady Golovkin, constantly making moves like Gennady Golovkin, do you guys think that anyone will be calling them the greatest in the last 25 years? We know that would not be the case. I mean, a lot of those fighters are not even getting that praise fighting better competition than Gennady Golovkin today. I mean, fighters on a coincidental list, they get criticized for fighting good competition and making it look too easy. Matter of fact, Floyd Mayweather, he received more criticism from these biased fans and media members when he completely dominated Manny Pacquiao. Keep in mind, this was a Manny Pacquiao that was considered pound for pound number 2 or 3 on almost every pound for pound list at the time that Floyd Mayweather beat him. And in almost every poll, they actually had picked Manny Pacquiao to win the fight. So according to the polls, Manny Pacquiao was somewhat of a favorite going into the fight by these biased fans at least. So Floyd Mayweather goes in there and he beats the guy that ESPN rates as the best fighter of the decade. And yet, Floyd Mayweather gets criticized more beating him than Gennady Golovkin will get fighting Steve Rose or Vanes Martirosyan. And that is how good that hope insurance is. It covers everything. Gennady Golovkin, he can fight whoever he wants. Matter of fact, you even have fans in my comment section saying, I don't care what you say, I still love Gennady Golovkin. He can fight whoever he wants. Matter of fact, one guy, he actually said when Demetrius Andrade was calling out Golovkin, and more recent, when Danny Jacobs, he just recently said, I did a video on it, he said, after I beat Canelo Alvarez, I want Golovkin next. Some guy in the comment section, he said, why doesn't Danny Jacobs just fight Demetrius Andrade? He was basically saying if Danny Jacobs were to beat Canelo Alvarez. So someone responded to him and he said, well, then who is Golovkin going to fight? And this guy, he said, it doesn't matter who he fights. He can fight whoever he wants. You see what I'm talking about, guys? That is that hope insurance I'm talking about. No matter who he fights, it's covered. But when it comes to fighters on the coincidental list, fans were demanding that Floyd Mayweather move up to middleweight at age 38 and fight Gennady Golovkin. Oh, but when it comes to Gennady Golovkin, he can fight whoever he wants to fight. It doesn't matter who he fights. Yeah, we know what time it is at the end of the day. And like I keep telling you fans, I don't give a damn how much you cry. I ain't about to go out my way to please no damn racist fans by just saying what you want to hear so you can wipe your tears away. It ain't gonna happen on this channel. You're gonna get the whole truth no matter how you take it. Gennady Golovkin is the most overrated fighter of this era, hands down. It ain't even close. And I never thought I would ever be agreeing with Jim Lampley, but there I say, Gennady Golovkin's entire career has been a failure. Now, it's not too late for him to fix that. He would just have to get in the ring with the best fighters and beat them with no controversy. Let's see if he decides to do that. I mean, remember, guys, Golovkin's own trainer, he told me it ain't even about legacy with Golovkin. It's about money. He said it's about money. It's not about legacy. See, this is what people don't understand, because once again, these fans, they always try to compare the fighters that they like to the fighters that they hate, which really makes no sense. They try to compare Canelo to Floyd Mayweather, Golovkin to Floyd Mayweather, but these fans, they hate Floyd Mayweather. So that makes no sense. It would seem that you would compare Golovkin or Canelo to another fighter that you like, that you consider great, right? But the reason why I bring up this comparison is because you'll often hear fans say, hey, well, you know, Floyd, all he cared about was money, et cetera, et cetera. But the difference is, look at Floyd Mayweather's resume and look at Gennady Golovkin's resume. Floyd Mayweather has beat at least 5 fighters that were on the pound for pound list. And it's probably more than 5, but it's no less than 5. He beat at least 5 fighters that were considered pound for pound, top 10, one of the best fighters in the world. That's equivalent to someone beating Terrence Crawford, an Errol Spence, a Canelo Alvarez, a Lomachenko, a Mikey Garcia. At least the undefeated Mikey Garcia before he lost to Errol Spence. Floyd Mayweather's biggest knockout win was against Diego Corrales. What was Gennady Golovkin's best knockout win? Who was it against, guys? David Lemieux? Vanes Martirosyan? Willie Monroe? Macklin? You cannot compare Golovkin to Floyd Mayweather, is my point. But yet these fans, they continue to do it. And then they'll turn around and say, hey, why are you bringing up Floyd Mayweather? But once again, as soon as someone criticizes Golovkin, that's the first person they bring up is Floyd Mayweather to defend Gennady Golovkin or to defend Canelo Alvarez. It is a complete false equivalence. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.